Some guys build things with their hands. They leave behind steel and stone, monuments that stand for generations. But some men build with something less tangible: words, charm, and a glint in their eye. George C. Parker built his fortune with his mouth. He was a master of persuasion, a man who could talk his way into or out of almost anything. He sold the Brooklyn Bridge, not once, but dozens of times. Each sale was a performance, a carefully crafted illusion that left his marks convinced they owned a piece of New York. He didn't stop there. Madison Square Garden, the Met, Grant's tomb, he sold them all. No landmark was too grand, no story too outrageous for Parker's imagination. Parker's greatest asset? Unshakable confidence. He could look anyone in the eye and make them believe the impossible. He acted like he owned the city, and people believed him. In a place as bustling and chaotic as New York, confidence was currency. In the early 1900s, information was scarce. There was no internet, no easy way to fact-check a stranger's claims. A sharp suit and a good story could open any door. Parker knew how to dress the part, and he always had a tale ready for anyone willing to listen. Tourists and newcomers, dazzled by New York, were easy prey. They arrived with dreams in their eyes, and Parker was ready to sell them the city itself. Parker wasn't just a criminal. He was a performer, turning every scam into a show. He understood the art of spectacle, and he played his part to perfection. He understood people's dreams of easy money, of being special, of striking it rich. He tapped into their hopes, their ambitions, and their desire to belong. He didn't sell property, he sold hope. He sold the fantasy that anyone, with the right opportunity, could make it big in the city of dreams. The fantasy: arrive in New York, buy a bridge, become a tycoon. For many, it was too tempting to resist, and Parker knew exactly how to reel them in. Parker's genius was making the impossible seem possible. He blurred the line between reality and illusion, and people wanted to believe. It takes nerve to claim a landmark as your own, and even more to make others believe it. Parker had both in spades, and he used them to full effect. His story isn't just about a con man. It's about the power of persuasion. It's about how belief can shape reality, even if just for a moment. A good story, told with conviction, can be stronger than the truth. Parker's tales were irresistible, and his audience was always eager for more. Parker's scams remind us, the most unbelievable jobs are sometimes the most successful. In a city built on ambition, he found a way to thrive. He was the king of the unbelievable. His legend lives on, a testament to the power of a well-told lie. In a city of dreamers, he was the ultimate illusionist. He sold not just landmarks, but the very idea of possibility. His legacy? Proof that sometimes the best salesman wins, even if he's selling a lie. Parker's story is a reminder that in New York, anything can be bought or sold if you have the nerve. George C. Parker, the man who sold New York, one landmark at a time. His name is now legend, whispered in the annals of the city's history, and people bought it again and again. In the end, Parker's greatest trick was making people believe in the impossible, if only for a moment. Who was George C. Parker? Born in 1860 New York, he grew up on the city's tough streets. He learned early that a quick wit could get you further than a strong back. Parker wasn't interested in hard labor. He wanted easy money and the thrill of the con. He started small, hustling on street corners, but his ambition grew. New York's flood of immigrants and tourists became his perfect targets, hopeful, naive, and eager for opportunity. Parker saw them as marks, not newcomers. He dressed sharp, spoke well, and projected authority. His street smarts gave him grit, his charm gave him polish. He wrapped big lies in small truths, always looking the part. Parker wasn't just a crook, he was an actor, playing the role of a lifetime. His background made him tough, his mind made him dangerous. That's how he became one of America's most legendary con men. Selling the Brooklyn Bridge was Parker's signature move, a con so audacious it became legendary. He'd spot a lost tourist, strike up a friendly chat, and pose as the bridge's owner or engineer, weaving a web of trust and authority. He'd share fake stories, point out insider details, and make his mark feel special, as if they were privy to a secret opportunity. Parker's props were convincing. Forged documents, fake offices, even maps on the wall, all meticulously crafted to sell the illusion. The illusion was total. This was no back alley deal, but a real business transaction, complete with formalities and handshakes. The pitch? Buy the bridge, set up toll booths, and rake in a fortune. It was a dream too tempting to resist. The price sounded steep, hundreds or thousands, but the promised profits were astronomical, enough to make anyone's eyes widen. Parker played on greed and ego, creating urgency. Act now, or someone else will snatch this up. The pressure was palpable. He flattered his victims, made them feel savvy, as if they were the ones outsmarting the system. They wanted to believe they were the smart ones, the ones who had discovered a hidden gem. In the end, they handed over their savings for a bridge that was never for sale, their dreams of wealth evaporating. Parker's real product wasn't steel or stone. It was the dream of instant success, a fantasy that he sold with unparalleled skill. And he sold it masterfully, leaving a trail of broken dreams and empty wallets in his wake. Here's how Parker's con worked. He'd approach a wide-eyed tourist, share a personal story about the bridge, and build trust. He'd lament the burden of ownership, hinting at a secret opportunity. Claiming family rights to the bridge, he'd spin a tale that sounded just plausible enough. He'd walk the mark onto the bridge, point to workers, and claim them as his employees. The pitch: buy the bridge, collect tolls, live easy. The price? High, but within reach, especially for someone desperate for a fresh start. The victim left with a fake deed and big dreams. Parker left with their cash. The scam was simple, bold, and devastatingly effective. Picture Thomas, an immigrant who saved for years to bring his family to America. At the Brooklyn Bridge, he meets Parker, posing as the chief engineer and owner. Parker listens to Thomas's dreams, then offers him a partnership to collect bridge tolls. He shows forged ledgers, takes Thomas to lunch, and answers every question with charm. The deal: $2,000 for a controlling stake, almost all Thomas's savings. The documents look official. The opportunity feels like destiny. Thomas signs, hands over his money, and leaves feeling like a king. Parker shakes his hand, promises a bright future, and disappears. Thomas is left with a worthless deed and a shattered dream. Parker didn't just steal money, he sold the American dream, then snatched it away. For Thomas, hope turned to heartbreak in a single handshake. Next, meet Frank, a Midwest farmer with cash from selling his land. In New York, he's approached by Parker, this time posing as a city official. Parker claims the city is privatizing the bridge and needs a trustworthy buyer. He gives Frank a tour, greets city workers, and makes the deal feel official. The pitch: an exclusive government-backed contract to run bridge tolls. The setting: a grand hotel lobby, expensive drinks, and forged city documents. The price: $5,000, a fortune for Frank, but the promise of partnership with New York itself. Frank signs, feeling proud and important. Parker promises introductions and a bright future. Frank leaves, convinced he's made the deal of a lifetime. In reality, he's just another victim, his dreams sold for a handful of lies. Parker moves on, ready for his next mark. The truth always hit hard. Victims like Thomas would show up, ready to run the bridge, only to be stopped by real workers or police. Their deeds were worthless. The bridge was never for sale. The humiliation was crushing. Life savings gone, dreams destroyed. Many victims were too ashamed to report the crime. They faded into the city, broken. Parker didn't just steal money, he stole hope, trust, and futures. While he spent their cash, his victims struggled to rebuild. The cost of his lies was measured in ruined lives. Parker couldn't outrun the law forever. He was arrested multiple times, often charming his way out of trouble. Many victims were too embarrassed to press charges, letting him slip away. But as his scams grew, so did his notoriety. By 1928, the authorities had had enough. Parker was finally convicted of fraud and sentenced to life in Sing Prison. The man who owned New York's landmarks now lived behind bars. Even in prison, he was a legend, entertaining inmates and guards with tales of his cons. He spent his last 8 years in a cell, dying penniless in 1936. The ultimate irony: the master of freedom and fortune ended up with neither. Parker's story closed with a legacy of lies and a cautionary tale for the ages. The city he once owned moved on, but his legend remained. The con man was finally out of business. What's left of Parker's story? A legend, a warning, and a phrase. If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you. His name may have faded, but his legacy lingers in the language we use and the cautionary tales we tell. The Brooklyn Bridge, once a symbol of hope and progress, became the backdrop for one of history's most audacious scams. His cons became American folklore, a lesson in greed and gullibility. Parker's story is retold in books, movies, and classrooms, a reminder that even the grandest dreams can be twisted by deception. Parker wasn't a harmless trickster. He ruined lives and dreams. Many victims lost their savings, their dignity, and sometimes even their homes, all for believing in a promise that was never real. His crimes left real scars, turning hope into heartbreak. The aftermath was more than just embarrassment. It was financial ruin and broken trust. Yet, his audacity fascinates us, a master liar who made the impossible believable. Parker's confidence and charm were his greatest weapons, and they still capture our imagination today. His story is about more than crime. It's about storytelling, psychology, and the eternal dance between con man and mark. It's a tale of trust, persuasion, and the human desire to believe in something bigger. Parker's tale reminds us, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. We're all vulnerable to hope, but we must balance it with skepticism. The world is full of stories like his, bizarre jobs, wild schemes, and unforgettable characters. Each one reveals something about the times and the people who lived them. These stories teach us about history, human nature, and the price of believing in easy fortune. They remind us to question, to learn, and to remember the lessons of the past. Parker's Bridge may have been a lie, but his story endures. The legend lives on, woven into the fabric of our culture and our collective memory. Remember the lesson: trust, but verify. Always look twice before you leap, and never let a smooth talker cloud your judgment. And if someone offers you a landmark for a bargain, walk away. Some deals are just too good to be true, no matter how convincing they seem. There are plenty more incredible stories where this one came from, tales that challenge what we think we know and remind us to stay curious, cautious, and always a little bit skeptical.